getting to meet other female boxers while filming was something that was so cool to me as well. All of the girls that I boxed in the film were actual fighters. So getting to speak to them and also seeing the appreciation that they had for me and thinking that I was a boxer before, I was like, well, this is crazy. Like, you know, so I was just so happy getting to meet them and talk to them and just understand, I guess, the headspace that you truly have to be in to be a boxer and want to do that, and a female boxer at that.
So we're at the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, and I love the SAG Awards. Yes. And I love that opening bit where the actors answer, I am an actor because. So please share with your fellow colleagues who are actors, what brought you to the stage and screen? Like, what was that moment for you?
Oh, I mean, it started obviously like a lot of people when I was really young. And I guess I've always been a little dramatic and just always curious as well. And I think that that's what sparked my creativity and why I love what I do and how I've been doing it in different mediums, whether it be singing or acting or dancing, whatever it may be. I just always gravitated towards it because it made me happy. And it was a safe space for me to feel free and seen. You know, there's such a amazing, warm community also within the acting community. And when you grow up where I was from, which is Detroit, Michigan, I was in a youth theater, and that was community for me, and people that were the same and different at the same time and just accepted each other and wanted to have fun in this way. So it was little things like that, you know, sprinkled in with also my dad being a creative as well, and me just loving it since I can remember. So
what was the work or acting gig that got you your first SAG award? I mean, your SAG card.
Oh, that's a good question. I want I want to say it was a kids show on HBO called The Wannabes, and it was like one of those shows that like was a bit more international than it was in the States. And I got like just like upgraded up into something because I started as an extra, then as a stand-in, and then I got like one little speaking role, and then it just kept going from there. So I think that was it. If I'm not wrong.
All right, we'll check her IMDb.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
So you are pretty early in your career, but you made a big splash by being cast in Star with Lee Daniels, Queen Latifah. Yeah. All right, yes. Lee Daniels has a knack for talent. But what about that experience, you know, working with that, you know, both award-winning actors and creators and directors, has helped you navigate how you're entering and maneuvering through the industry now, and also how you approach your craft?
I think it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about how I want to go about handling my career. I was very young when I entered that show, and I think that having someone like Queen Latifah be the leader on our set was very helpful for me to see what it looks like to be, you know, the leader in so many different ways, and how she would make sure everyone felt very comfortable on set, and how her presence entering it would set the tone, and how important that was, and certain things like that, and also being a lot more assertive as well. I think it taught me to not be afraid to speak up for myself, not be afraid to let someone know when I felt like something was wrong, because I think up until that point I was a lot more hesitant with a lot of things. And I think that being in a space like that where it was kind of just like a truck hit you in a way, it really, you know, opened me into a lot of different personalities and a lot of different incredible, you know, talent. And I think that through that I learned different things from different people, truly, because we had different people on those sets like every week.
And it was an ensemble cast.
Yeah,
as well,
yeah. So between the guest stars and just
Mm-hmm.
us having to make sure that we were understanding each other as this huge cast, it was always a learning curve, I think, every week for me, honestly. So I think it just helped in so many different ways, and I'm very thankful for that time because I know it was very necessary for me to enter into that world and just learn different things that I needed about my craft and how I want to go about my career. So.
Okay. So before we get into the fire inside, I also saw on your IMDb that you did some voice work for the Lower Bottoms.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So, we got a fan. I was reading some of the reviews. That, a lot of people loved it and hate to see it go. But how did you approach that, and as opposed to how you approach your screen work?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they're similar in so many ways. You know, you still have to really give it your all, and it's a lot harder than it looks like. And that was very new for me too, and it made me also just want to hopefully be able to get into voice acting even more. And it was just something that I really appreciated during that time too because I had never done any voiceover work, so it was something that I'm like, oh, you want me, great. And I definitely went into it knowing how much I guess I would have to learn, but not realizing how much energy it would take out of me. And I don't think a lot of people realize that with the voice acting. And so it was really, really fun and something that I would love to do more of. So yeah.
All right. Tell us a little bit about it.
I mean, it was something that I can't completely remember fully all the way because it was so many years ago and during the pandemic. But the Lower Bottoms, I played someone who was entering I guess I think I want to say it was her and her partner who were going into learning more about something with a detective space or something like that, I think. I'm so sorry. I'm literally trying to remember as you said that. So yeah, I just remember I played one of the two girls that was in the story. So yeah.
All right, so let's shift to the fire inside. Congratulations on your Critics' Choice Award.
Oh, thank you.
And then Ryan has also been newly nominated for Best Lead Performance for a film by the Independent Spirit Awards. So, fingers crossed for that. So, walk us through the origin story of Clarissa Shields and how this project came to you.
Oof. Well, this is a 5-year process now.
Wow.
And it came to me kind of like any other project would. It came to me as an audition, and I went into it just like I would any other one. And honestly, I didn't really believe that I would get it because it was so far-fetched for somebody like me. And I thought they would want someone who's an actual athlete, or someone who's like this big A-lister. And so I think that actually helped me in the audition process, honestly, because it helped release the pressure that I usually would have on myself and just overthinking a lot. But I went in, did the tape, and then I got a few callbacks after that and met with Rachel Morrison, our director, and and she really loved me. Thank God, thankfully. And I was definitely thankful for her for just literally seeing and basing it off of the acting itself, versus everything else around me in my previous work, So she's incredible, her and Francine, the casting director. And yeah, it was a lot of up and down, but Clarissa's an incredible person, an incredible athlete, just an insane like superhero figure to me, and it was just an honor to be able to be a part of her story in this way. And obviously wanting to work with Barry Jenkins as well, and Rachel herself was just something that was a no-brainer, and I knew it'd be I guess pretty competitive going into it. Yeah.
I was reading about how it was with the director Rachel, and Clarissa had an issue with the movie version of her life.
Yes.
She didn't, things had to be written for dramatic effect.
Yes.
Did you have moments with her yourself where you had to talk her? I don't want to say talk her down.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Really explain to her like this is the process.
I mean, prior to that, a lot of that was in Barry Jenkins' hands and Rachel. And so they gave her the first draft of the script, let her change anything that she wasn't comfortable with because she wanted to peel back some things as well, and not go as deep into certain things that happened in her life, and also wanted to add certain things as well. And they honored that and they did that. And they had to explain to her, like, we know that everyone that you fought, pretty much no one has really touched you at all, but obviously for dramatic effect, you had to add those little things in there. So she would be upset at those little things and she'd be like, nobody's hit me like that, so things like that, they had to be like, okay, but you gotta understand that it's for, for the movie, for film. So she understood that, obviously, and she absolutely loves it now. And she cried after she first saw it. So that was like a dream to me, and just was just such an honor and such a moment because I thought about her every single day on the set. So to get her approval was the most that I've wanted from anyone is hers. So that was incredible. And we did get to talk before filming, and she was pretty much an open book with me. I got to ask her kind of anything I wanted, but there's also an incredible documentary called T-Rex about her journey up to the Olympics and a little after. And that was like my Bible in a lot of ways, and it helped me because it really gave me a front row seat into how she was with her family, her friends, with Jason. And it was something that was so helpful for me, but also getting a bit more insight from her personally was very important because you have those relationships, how she has with her mom, that are a bit more complex. And, I just wanted to dive deeper and understand a little bit better. So she was so open with that, and I really appreciate that from her. And she's one of the coolest people ever, and I wish more people could meet her because she's very inspiring.
And I hope she gets that Wheaties box.
Yes.
But going back to when you were auditioning and doing your research, you saw the film, this is a real person. What other methods or research did you do in how you were going to portray someone like this?
Ooh, I mean, I used pretty much any and everything that I could. Obviously, it's a great time to be living in because you have so much from a person, who's still living today. I had a lot of things to be able to reference and go back to on YouTube, whether it be her fights, anything of her speaking. And I used all of those things, and it was very helpful. So when it came to things like the fighting in particular, she has such a specific style to her, and I wanted to make sure I got those little nuances correct. So I just tried to do what I saw as close to that as possible. And I think some of my dancing background maybe helped with that, kind of being able to just see and repeat in a way. So things like that really helped me. Obviously went into intense training as well. But yeah, like I said, also her documentary was something that was extremely vital to my process. And so I did get to pick up on little things about her as well as the bigger relationships that she had.
Speaking about training, I saw you on the Sherry Shepherd Show.
Yeah.
And I know Sherry mentioned that, Michael B. Jordan gifted you.
They make it sound so grand, I promise it wasn't that great.
But he, the trainer he used for Creed is who trained you. And I also remember laughing because you said you had to eat so much protein and you hated that.
Yes. Yes.
But
absolutely.
let's talk about the physicality of this, because a big part of this was that you had to become an athlete. And were you an athlete before?
I was not.
Okay.
No, I definitely wasn't. I honestly hated kind of anything that I tried. I think the most that I gotten into was volleyball, cheerleading, stuff like that. So yeah, that's as
That's
far as it.
athlete. That's athleticism,
I mean,
people.
it's great.
Yeah.
It's great, but that's as far as it went for me. So yeah, no, and I was really nervous about it all. I think, especially going in, just because I don't know, boxing was just not something that was on my mind, and I knew that if she was the best, I'm like, whoa, I'm really gonna have to pull this off, you know. So it's insane. So there was a lot of fear in that, but it made me go even harder,
Yeah.
honestly, and it made me just throw myself into it more. And having my boxing trainer be with me was something that was such a blessing because it also replicated a lot of what was happening in Clarissa's story as well. Understanding that coach fighter dynamic was something that I didn't realize I needed, but it was something that was very helpful for me. I got very attached to my trainer in a way that was like, if he couldn't come on set with me, I felt a little lost, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that that's clearly a lot of the things that she went through, as well as a lot of the other boxing films that we see of how important that relationship is. So yeah, Michael was someone who definitely put in a good word for him, and obviously him and Rachel have a relationship, and that's who, you know, he went to her for and she went to him for, just to see, hey, is this guy legit? And he thought so, and he was absolutely right. So yeah, it was great.
How many months or weeks did you have to prepare?
So since it was split up because we started pre-pandemic, it
Okay.
was I want to say 3-4 months, and then I had to do it all over again when we started back up in 2022. And so all in all, it was probably like 7 months in total.
Okay.
And it was definitely necessary. And in the second go round, I also added on weight training as well. So balancing those two was definitely something different, but it was great to have that extra, I guess, few months that we did get because of the pandemic, and I'm very happy that it happened that way.
Yeah.
Looking back.
Has it made you appreciate the sport more?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was never a time where I didn't,
Yeah.
respect it. It was just something that I was like, whoa, I could never do that. So yeah, I definitely appreciate it, and getting to meet other female boxers while filming was something that was so cool to me as well. All of the girls that I boxed in the film were actual fighters. So getting to speak to them and also seeing the appreciation that they had for me and thinking that I was a boxer before, I was like, well, this is crazy. Like, so I was just so happy getting to meet them and talk to them and just understand, I guess, the headspace that you truly have to be in to be a boxer and want to do that, and a female boxer at that. It's just a lot of different levels to it. And I, definitely walked away with a newfound appreciation and understanding and respect. But I definitely always did. But I'm so thankful for this time, obviously, that I had to just have a whole new outlook on it completely.
Okay. Let's shift to your co-star, Brian Tyree Henry,
Yes.
who is amazing. And I read in Deadline that he said that in order for the on-screen kinship between you two, it had to be grounded in a real relationship. So did you know each other before? And if you did not, what added to this magnetism that you two share on screen?
Oh, we did not know each other before. Obviously, I knew of him. Didn't know he knew of me. That was like mind blowing to me. I knew wanted to work with him, but didn't know it'd be in this way. So, being able to see him work was such a gift, and he is someone who makes everyone else around him better. And meeting each other for the first time didn't it didn't have any, I guess, we didn't have to force anything. Everything came very naturally with us, and I'm very thankful for that. And he also came in treating me like an equal. And I'm looking at all these people around me, whether it be Barry or Rachel or Brian, who have accomplished so much, and it can be a bit intimidating, but he did not make it that way. He made it such a safe space for me, and that just makes the performance better as well. The the playground is a lot more fun, and you can mess up, and you can do and try different things. And he definitely did that. And again, we didn't do this whole thing where we had to like sit and have like this like whole like powwow of how we're gonna do this and that. It was just every scene that we did was very natural and authentic to how we felt in that moment. And we also, I guess, have just formed a relationship too now, where he's definitely like a brother to me.
I was gonna say, you guys on the Sherry show, you guys seem like
Yeah.
you're related.
Yeah,
Like
that's
he was
funny.
your big. You were sitting next to your, or like a really loved cousin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, he's definitely that. He has sisters,
Mhm.
all sisters, but he doesn't have a younger sister. So I think I'm just giving him all those feels of wanting to pick on somebody. And he does that to me all the time. And I do the same right back to him. So it was just a very fun dynamic to have, especially with these scenes that are a lot more, I guess, deep and can be a lot more vulnerable. And so when you balance that, as soon as they say cut and you guys can go back to having a light, fun time, it's a great thing, you know. And I really appreciated that from him. And I've just learned so much by having him a part of this film and now my life. So he's incredible. I can't say enough great things about him. I'm so glad he's not here to hear it.
Well, I'm curious because Brian has more of a lengthier career than you. This was your first project where you're on the top of the call sheet.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of weight on you, physical, literally and figuratively. So how did you? And you talked about having space, that they made you feel equal. But what else kind of helped you manage that? Because this is, it's a big deal. You're the lead.
Yeah. I don't know. I think because they created that space for me, it made it to where I didn't overthink everything and I focused a lot more on the work itself. And obviously, seeing how Brian steps on to a set, also, like I said earlier, seeing how Queen Latifah steps onto a set, learning from these people around me, I knew what type of energy I wanted to bring. You know, and I know that it starts a lot with me and setting the tone for everyone a part of the cast and the crew. And so I never wanted to make anyone feel less than around me as well. And, you know, having that sort of environment where you have to do a lot of these up and down emotional ebb and flows of a set in a film like this, I just kept wanting to make sure that I did that as best to my ability and made sure that my energy was correct for me. And I think, you know, again, having those people around me that knew that I felt a lot of pressure at the same time and were definitely making sure that they had my back was something that I appreciated. And yeah, so it was a learning curve, but it wasn't something that felt completely out of the ordinary for me. You know, I think I fell into it okay for the most part, but it was definitely not just me. It was other people holding me up, you know, during that time. So yeah, it wasn't too bad, I don't think.
And what about the environment director for you, Rachel Morrison? If you guys don't know, she has won accolades for cinematography, Fruitvale Station, Black Panther. That was a connection, like you mentioned, with Michael.
Yeah.
What was it like working with her?
Oh man, it was incredible. And again, it was a little intimidating at first, but because of the person that Rachel is, she is so human, and it's something that I really appreciated, especially coming in as a director. It can feel like this very weird I guess dynamic where someone can feel like they're the boss of you in some way. And I had felt like that before. I've worked with directors, you know, before in different ways, and I knew at that point what helped me perform my best. And she is someone who definitely did that because of her treating me like we are one and the same, and her treating me like a partner and not someone that was like having this like weird superior complex or whatever you want to call it. It was something that I really appreciated from her from day one, and she continuously, you know, did it from start to finish. Even within our little hiccup that we had during the pandemic, she kept me in the loop, kept wanting to learn from me and me from her. So everything felt like a partnership rather than anything else. So I was very thankful for her not having any ego or anything like that going into something like this, where there's a lot that's falling on her shoulders as well. So us having to form that trust was something that was really important for both of us, and it definitely got to that point. So
And was this her first feature?
yes,
Yeah. So yeah.
yep.
All right. So speaking of Rachel, she has said of the film, one of the messages is, quote, "When winning isn't enough." And for you as a working actor, especially as this industry is going through another set of growing pains, how do you adjust and hold on? What do you hold on to in the industry that's ever shifting? Because you're winning now.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think that this story itself speaks a lot to that. It definitely is something still, literally to this day, that I'm having to like refer back to, because it is something that I don't think ever necessarily stops. You know, that there's a lot of things that happen, I guess, within the industry, within this industry in particular, where you can feel like, okay, I did this, and you know, it feels great, and you know, everyone is responding well to it, and then the next week it can feel like you are starting from square one.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that the ebbs and flows of how everything goes and how life goes in general is always reminding me of why I started and what's most important. You know, it's easy to get caught up in a lot of other things and all the smoke. But I think when you remember why you loved it in the first place, and what really matters at the core of everything, obviously, no matter what happens to this story, I'm so proud of it. And I'm so happy to be a part of something that is important, and the message means something. And I think that that's how I want to continue to go throughout my career, and hopefully I can continue to feel like I'm a part of things that are very well taken care of. And I think that that's what this film was. And I love this feeling, and this is what is most important. So if I could hold on to that, then I think that, you know, it'll make everything worth it, because it's bound to go up and down, as we all know. So I think that if you make sure you hold on to that, it will all make sense.
Just like she held on to her gold medal.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you all. The Fire Inside comes out Christmas Day. So tell your friends.